Other patterns of inheritance. Think about it. Mendel's principles offer a tidy set of rules with which to predict various patterns of inheritance. Unfortunately, biology is not a tidy science. There are exceptions to every rule, and exceptions to the exceptions. What happens if one allele is not completely dominant over another? What if a gene has several alleles? Beyond dominant and recessive alleles. What are some exceptions to Mendel's principles? Despite the importance of Mendel's work, there are important exceptions to most of his principles. For example, not all genes show simple patterns of inheritance. In most organisms, genetics is more complicated because the majority of genes have more than 2 alleles. Also, many important traits are controlled by more than one gene. Understanding these exceptions allows geneticists to predict the ways in which more complex traits are inherited. Incomplete dominance. A cross between 2 4 o'clock Mirabilis jalapa plants shows a common exception to Mendel's principles. Some alleles are neither dominant nor recessive. As shown in Figure 1112, the F1 generation produced by a cross between red-flowered, big R, and white-flowered, big W, mirabilis plants consists of pink-colored flowers, big R, big W. Which allele is dominant in this case? Neither one. Cases in which one allele is not completely dominant over another are called incomplete dominance. In incomplete dominance, the heterozygous phenotype lies somewhere between the 2 homozygous phenotypes. As this caption says, incomplete dominance. In 4 o'clock plants, the alleles for red and white flowers show incomplete dominance. Heterozygous, big R, big W plants have pink flowers, a mix of red and white coloring. Codominance. A similar situation arises from codominance, in which the phenotypes produced by both alleles are clearly expressed. For example, in certain varieties of chicken, the allele for black feathers is codominant with the allele for white feathers. Heterozygous chickens have a color described as erminette, speckled with black and white feathers. Unlike the blending of red and white colors in heterozygous 4 o'clocks, black and white colors appear separately in chickens. Many human genes, including one for a protein that controls cholesterol levels in the blood, show codominance too. People with the heterozygous form of this gene produce 2 different forms of the protein, each with a different effect on cholesterol levels. I'm going to skip this part about human blood types, but you're welcome to read that in the article if you'd like. Multiple alleles. So far, our examples have described genes for which there are only 2 alleles, such as little a and big A. In nature, such genes are the exception rather than the rule. Many genes exist in several different forms and are therefore said to have multiple alleles. A gene with more than 2 alleles is said to have multiple alleles. An individual, of course, usually has only 2 copies of each gene, but many different alleles are often found within a population. One of the best-known examples is coat color in rabbits. A rabbit's coat color is determined by a single gene that has at least 4 different alleles. The 4 known alleles display a pattern of simple dominance that can produce 4 coat colors. Many other genes have multiple alleles, including the human genes for blood type. Polygenic traits. Many traits are produced by the interaction of several genes. Traits controlled by 2 or more genes are said to be polygenic traits. Polygenic means many genes. For example, at least 3 genes are involved in making the reddish-brown pigment in the eyes of fruit flies. Polygenic traits often show a wide range of phenotypes. The variety of skin color in humans comes about partly because more than 4 different genes probably control this trait.